I hope you like balls, because in today's video, we're getting up close and personal with each and every one. From Chainshot to Cursed Balls, there's a lot of different ammo types to choose from. In this video, I'm going to explain every type of Cannonball in Sea of Thieves, and I'll show you how to use them to win more fights. The first ammo type is you. You can launch yourself out of the cannon, which is the best way to board an enemy ship. This is a great skill to practice and will make you much better at boarding consistently. But remember that you are much heavier than a cannonball, so you'll need to aim the cannon much higher than you normally would. The best form of cannon launching is called the deck shot. This is when you manage to land perfectly on the top deck of the enemy ship. It's one of the most impressive things you can do during a fight. Beat your enemies in style. Next we have Chainshot. This is definitely the most important ammo type. You never want to waste any of this. Don't fire Chainshot unless you're close enough to the other ship to know it will hit. You really want to save Chainshot for very special opportunities. This ammo type has the power to one-shot break masts on brigs and galleons. However, it will only make 2 cracks on the mast of a sloop. You usually don't want to fire Chainshot while your enemy is firing cannonballs at you. You want to make sure you knock the enemy off cannon or wait until they don't have angle on you before you start trying to drop their mast with Chainshot. Chainshot is definitely the most valuable tool to use when fighting a larger ship. But remember that Chainshot has much less range than a cannonball. It travels slower and drops faster, which is why you usually want to be very close to your target if you're running out of it. Next, let's talk about Cursed Cannonballs. Cursed balls are green if they affect players, and they are purple if they affect ships. You can hold up to 5 Cursed Balls at once. The Grog Ball applies the drunk effect on players for a few seconds. This will make the player's vision blur, and it will make them sway left and right uncontrollably until they throw up. The swaying effect will make it impossible for them to fight, repair, or bucket their ship. The Limp Ball applies a limping effect on players. It will break their leg and make them move really slow. This is mostly useful if you can board your opponent in time to capitalize on it. The Weary Ball is one of the strongest Cursed Balls. This will make players perform the sleep emote for a few seconds, completely blocking them from doing anything, whether it's shooting back at you or repairing their ship. This can be very effective for finishing off a ship that you know is close to sinking. The Jig Ball makes players perform the dance emote for a few seconds. This is basically the same as the Weary Ball in that it stops them from doing anything while they're affected. The Venom Ball will give the same effect as being bitten by a snake. While the enemy is poisoned, their screen will turn dark purple, which can be blinding if you do it at night. Their health will also start degenerating by 5 every second for a few seconds. Now let's move on to the purple Cursed Balls, which will affect ships instead of players. The Anchor Ball will drop your enemy's anchor on impact. The ability to stop their ship suddenly by surprise will make this one of the most useful Cursed Balls for naval combat. Once the Anchor Ball lands, you'll probably want to drop their mast immediately. This way you force them to choose between catching their mast or raising their anchor back up. The Peace Ball will raise your enemy's cannons and lock them in the highest position while cursed. This ball can instantly turn a broadside in your favor. After peace balling the enemy cannons, you want to take advantage of it immediately by chain-shotting the enemy mast. You can also use peace balls defensively by saving them until your mast goes down. This will give you an easy escape because you can raise your mast without it getting knocked back down again. The Helm Ball will lock up your enemy's wheel, forcing it to stay how it was turned on impact. The wheel will have purple smoke around it until the effect is done. The best time to use a Helm Ball is if you're dominating on a broadside and you want to stop your enemy from being able to turn away from you and escape. The Ballast Ball makes a ship sail lower in water, causing it to fill faster from 2nd level hull damage. This means that a sloop and brigantine will take in water from holes in the back of the ship, and a galleon will take in water from mid-deck holes. If your enemy has been neglecting patching all their holes, then they will suddenly sink very fast from a ballast ball. The Rigging Ball will completely raise your enemy's sails. You want to save this for special opportunities where you need to stop your enemy from escaping. The main use for it is for stopping the enemy from raising a broken mast. If they're in the middle of trying to pull up their mast, the Rigging Ball will instantly make it fall all the way back down. The Barrel Ball will block your enemies from accessing their storage barrels for a short time. Unfortunately, the effect doesn't last very long, so this is probably the worst of all the Cursed Balls. You're really just going to annoy your enemies with it. Now let's talk about the 3 types of Ghostly Cannonballs. The Phantom Cannonball functions like a normal cannonball. However, the benefit of these is that you can hold 5 in addition to your 10 normal cannonballs. Similarly, Flame Phantom Cannonballs will function just like Firebombs. The last Ghostly Cannonball is the most powerful ammo type in the game. The Wraith Ball. Wraith Balls explode on the enemy ship like a powder keg. They open up multiple holes and deal splash damage to players. Wraith Balls are simply powerful, and they will win you fights. Next, we have Firebombs. These are mostly useful when fighting against a galleon. If you shoot fire on their top deck, it will quickly spread out of control, and will be very hard for them to put out. However, fire is much less effective against sloops or brigs. Its main use is going to be against galleons. Next, we have the Skeleton Collar. This will spawn skeletons on the enemy ship. These skeletons will be friendly to you, but hostile to the enemy. The Skeleton Collar is useful for distracting the enemies while your crew is trying to board them. It can also be useful for forcing the enemy to exit their cannons during a broadside, so they can deal with all the skeletons. Now let's talk about the standard Cannonball. This is obviously the main ammo type you should use when fighting in a broadside. It has the power to one-shot kill your enemies, open up holes, and even do damage to the wheel, mast, or anchor if you're accurate. This is the ammo you should be using to open fights with. Next, we have blunder bombs. These are for killing players or knocking them off your ship. You should fire these out of your cannon to interrupt enemies while they're trying to raise their mast, patch holes, or bucket water. These can be very useful for when you're death spiraling an enemy ship. Blunder bombs also have the ability to actually turn the enemy ship in the water if you fire them at the hull. This can be useful for making an enemy ship lose angle on you. Next, we have scattershot. This is a new ammo type in Season 12. Like Chainshot, scattershot is greatly limited by range, but if you're close enough, scattershot will fire 4 small cannonballs all over the enemy ship, opening 4 Tier 1 holes. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'm posting new PvP guides every day. Thanks for watching, Captain Squiddy.